Thailand is a country that seems plucked from an exotic dream, a land of contrasts where the serenity of golden temples coexists with the hustle and bustle of modern cities. Its paradisiacal beaches, like those of Phuket or Krabi, offer white sands and turquoise waters that look painted by an artist, while in Bangkok, futuristic skyscrapers rise alongside floating markets and bustling streets. The vibrant street food, bursting with explosive flavors, invites exploration of local culture. But behind this tangible beauty lie strict rules that foreigners don't always understand, especially when it comes to respecting the monarchy, an institution deeply revered by Thais. Emma was a 27-year-old Englishwoman, with striking short, wavy, fiery red hair that highlighted her lively personality. Her fair skin was freckled, and her green eyes shone with curiosity and innocence. Slim and of medium height, she carried a small backpack over her shoulder and wore comfortable yet stylish clothing, fitted jeans, walking boots, and a light jacket that perfectly matched her adventurous style. Emma was at London's airport at the end of April 2015, excited but slightly nervous, waiting to board her flight to Bangkok. In her hands, she held a notebook filled with scribbled notes and maps, evidence of her meticulous planning. For Emma, this trip was more than just an escape, was an opportunity to break free from her routine and find inspiration. Upon arriving at Suvarnabhumi International Airport in Bangkok in early May 2015, Emma was impressed by its modern architecture and organized chaos. A giant golden Buddha in the arrival's terminal welcomed her, symbolizing the unique blend of tradition and modernity in the country. Outside, the humid heat enveloped her like a tropical embrace, while colorful tuk-tuk taxis waited for tourists. Emma felt a mix of excitement and awe as she began her adventure in a country that promised both discovery and challenge. With her backpack on her shoulders and her mind full of expectations, she stepped into the controlled chaos of Bangkok, ready to explore everything Thailand had to offer. But what Emma didn't know was that a simple comment, made without malice during a casual dinner in mid-May, would change her journey forever. In a culture where words carry significant weight, especially when touching on sensitive topics like the monarchy, even an unintentional mistake can have devastating consequences. Thus began a story that would transform her perspective on freedom, communication, and cultural differences. Emma dove into her trip with enthusiasm, exploring vibrant markets, majestic temples, and dazzling beaches. Her adventurous spirit led her to connect with locals, sharing laughter and conversations about their lives and customs. However, during a casual dinner in Bangkok, the unexpected happened. In the middle of an animated conversation with Thai friends she had met days earlier, someone mentioned the King of Thailand. Unaware of the gravity of her words, Emma made a light-hearted comment about the monarchy, joking about the omnipresence of the king's portrait in public spaces. What seemed like an innocent observation was interpreted as an act of contempt under the country's strict lèse-majesté laws. The next morning, everything changed. Emma was arrested at her hostel. Officers burst into her room early, handcuffing her without clear explanations. For hours, she was interrogated in a small, austere room, where she finally understood the extent of her mistake. Her joke, made without any intention to offend, had been reported, and now she faced an unforgiving legal system. She was transferred to a local prison, where conditions were harsh, overcrowded cells, suffocating temperatures, and a language she barely understood. To make matters worse, the Thai press published her story, portraying her as a disrespectful and arrogant tourist. This sparked a public backlash against her, making her defense even more difficult. Emma spent nearly 3 weeks in jail, feeling trapped in a nightmare with no way out. Finally, in early June 2015, her embassy intervened. After paying bail and publicly acknowledging her mistake, she was released and deported back to England. But the consequences didn't end there. Her name became associated with the case, and her life in the UK became complicated. Job opportunities dwindled, and her reputation was tarnished by the incident. Emma's story is a reminder of how cultural differences can have devastating consequences. What seemed like a simple, innocent comment turned into a personal tragedy, exposing the fragility of our freedoms when we cross into a country with rules vastly different from our own. In a globalized world, understanding and respecting local customs can make the difference between an unforgettable trip and an irreparable nightmare. Emma returned home in June 2015 with a lesson she would never forget. Some words, even when spoken without malice, can carry unexpected weight in places where culture and laws are radically different.